My previous Just How Fast videos have focused on the extreme gap between elite athletes like Eliud Kipchoge, Steve Redgrave and Bradley Wiggins, and me, someone fit and healthy, yet a long way off of those guys. This video is a bit different. Mark Zuckerberg is not an elite athlete, but it turns out he might be a much better one than you'd think. A couple of months ago, he took time off trying to monetize humans' intrinsic desire to argue with one another online and ran a 5K race in 19 minutes 34 seconds. When I mentioned that to a few people that don't know much about running, they assumed it can't be that great a time because he's the Facebook guy. But it is. He's clearly not winning any major races, but if he turned up at my local 5K, he'd find himself standing on a podium in front of a duck pond afterwards. At least I think he would. Let's find out just how fast is Mark Zuckerberg. So the plan is theoretically very simple. I am at my local 5K race. I'm going to try and run it in as close as possible, 19 minutes 34 seconds. Thus we will see where Mark Zuckerberg would come if he were here competing today. I say theoretically simple. 90 minutes 34 seconds is rapid. I have been a little bit quicker than that, but not in a while, and right now don't feel that it's going to be as straightforward as I might be making it sound. I'm pulling out all the stops. I've got Rocky 4 running up top. I've got my Barbie shoes on down below, and just hope that everything in the middle plays along. And so here we go, channeling my inner billionaire megalomaniac. I'm going to try and run faster than the vast majority of people at this race to demonstrate that Zuckerberg is not hanging about. And this is not just about him being better than average, because everyone you see here is not sat at home on the sofa eating Pringles, scrolling through Facebook. This is already a group of above average people.
3, 2, 1, go!
And we're off. 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles. It's not a long way, but it is full on all the way. There is no time to settle into this run. A 5K is fast from the outset. And already our imaginary Zuckerberg is right up with the front runners. A guy that I thought would probably spend all day just sat behind a desk, he's leaving a huge number of people in his wake. And that makes sense because his 19 minute 34 second time means he was averaging 3 minute 55 per kilometer pace, or 6 minute 18 second per mile pace. Again, that isn't elite level running by any stretch. For example, if by some miracle he was able to maintain it for a full marathon distance, he's still finishing 45 minutes behind Kipchoge. But when it comes to comparison with Joe Bloggs, he's quick. And on this run, he might be quicker than me. I go through the first K in 3 minutes 42 seconds, which sounds promising, but it's actually a bit too quick. At that first lap marker, I really want to just feel like I'm settling in. Here, I feel like I'm at my limit. As a result, I back off and run a 3:59 for the second kilometer, which overall puts me pretty much on Zuckerberg pace, but now feeling rough. And it was a hot evening. The course was muddy in sections, and I have this ridiculous camera thing attached to the back of me. It's not going well. And that is annoying because I know I can beat his time. My personal best for 5K is 19 minutes 2 seconds. I've even run a couple of 10Ks where I comfortably get the first half done well under 20 minutes. Good enough to have got me on the podium here before. But those performances were a little while ago. I have slipped backwards, and while I'm currently trying to improve things, I'm not there yet. As kilometer 3 demonstrates, when I go through it in 4 minutes 12 seconds, Zuckerberg is now in the lead, which is disappointing because while I do want to show how surprisingly fast he is, clearly I also want to beat him. So I dig deep and I crush the next kilometer in 4 minutes 11. This is not going to plan. Certainly spending $29.99 getting the Face Mash t-shirt made might not have been my best idea. In case you're wondering how it is that he runs so quickly, I did a little bit of investigation and it seems he's never really been someone that ran a significant amount at all, but does occasionally jog a bit. Back in 2016, he did put some time into his running, but even then didn't ever really seem to get past just being impressed with an ability to run 20 miles, and a 1 mile time that scraped under 6 minutes. Not bad, but not really representative of a sub 25k ability. For comparison, my mile time PB is 5 minutes 11, and I've run ultramarathons in style. This is stupid. Why would anybody want to do this? And lately he says that he's pretty much stopped running altogether and focuses his attention on martial arts training. So he just appears to be somebody that can naturally run, and it's probably helped by him being 5'7" and 155 pounds. As someone 70 pounds heavier, I can tell you he's a good weight for running. And he may also just have a genetic predisposition to the activity. Interestingly, my son, who does almost no exercise at all, has just started a getting in shape journey that we'll be documenting on here. So far, we've just done a few tests to see where he's at, and one of those was a 12-minute Cooper's Run test, where he scored an excellent result. It's a good example of why you should not get too bogged down in comparing yourself to anybody else. You have no idea what their body is used to doing, what it is naturally capable of doing, and how well prepared it is for that particular event. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses that aren't always immediately obvious, so just work on your own performance instead. Comparison to others is just digging yourself a miserable hole when your mental energy is better invested elsewhere. So I'm into the final stage of this race, and I know I'm not going to beat his 1934. So I have only one objective going through my head now: get 19 something, because then I can put 19 ? On the thumbnail for the video. And sometimes, you know, it's just those little things, those silly little ideas that you plant in your own head that provide you all the motivation you need. I pick up the pace, I visualize that sub 20 time, I run the final kilometer in 3 minutes 59 and get 2023. Almost 50 seconds behind Zuckerberg. The guy probably earned more than my net worth in that time. I'm down the cost of entering the race and the t-shirt. No wonder I'm not a billionaire. However, I did demonstrate that my podium theory was correct. The first 3 runners of the race were awarded first, second, third, with times better than Zuckerberg's. And after those 3 positions, they award fastest in age group. Zuckerberg's time would have put him 4th place overall, and he would have been first in the 30-39 category. Not bad in a race with over 100 people. If you want to know what him stood on the podium in front of a duck pond would look like, a bit like me, here, 5th place overall, but first in the old man category. And so yes, Zuckerberg is pretty quick. In fact, he's pretty quick for a guy that runs regularly, and given that he doesn't, even more impressive. And right now, quicker than me. But should I worry about that? Should I dig myself that miserable hole of comparison to others? Should I be directing mental energy into just a pit of negativity? Yes, 100% I should. I am not getting beaten by some bloody computer nerd. Okay, round 2. Damn right, round 2. I shaved my head, I stopped wearing the stupid camera, and 2 days later, this morning, went to my local 5k park run, this time with a plan. As I set off here, I am following this guy. This is Richard. Every time I've done a good park run, he has come past me around halfway and then finished ahead of me, because as I get tired, he just keeps running a consistent pace. So I ignore the group going off ahead that I would normally try and keep up with and just stay with Richard. And it is working. First lap in a 3 minute 48 and feeling very comfortable. I then get the second kilometer done in a 3 minute 55. And then I have to decide what I'm doing here. Do I go after Zuckerberg, which I am now perfectly on track to do, or do I go for a personal best, sub 19 minutes? And kilometer 3 answers the question for me. It's another 3:55. So the PB is not happening, but I am bang on Facebook speed. All is going well. Almost. The 4th kilometer is a tough one. I've had a full-on week of training in the gym this week. Obviously there was the 5k just 2 days ago, and yesterday was a lot of heavy sled work. My legs are starting to feel it here. I can tell that 3rd k wasn't going quick enough for the PB, but had it been, I'm almost certain I wouldn't have been able to stay with Richard if he'd been going that fast. I'm pretty close to my limit here. I also got a Spartan Beast race coming up tomorrow that I really should be saving myself for. So the 4th k, I end up running in a 4:03, at which point I realise Richard is going to be going comfortably under 20 minutes, but I may not beat Zuckerberg if I stay with him. Thankfully, running consistently and smoothly up to this point has left me with a little bit of energy. So around 800 meters, I leave him and I go for it. And I start to wind the pace up in a way that I'm not normally able to at this stage. And these last couple of 100 meters are now a desperate attempt to break 19 minutes, 34 seconds, which I can see on my watch is going to be tight. If Zuckerberg were in this race with me, as we come around this tree, we'd be pretty much side by side. And so with that thought in my head, I sprint for the line.
Come on, run! Did you make it?
Keep going, keep moving. Well done.
1928.
Hey.
Zuckerberg.
19 minutes 28 seconds. Last kilometre was a 3-minute 44. So you can be as rich as you like, but no amount of money will buy you the raw power that's required when your YouTube credibility is on the line. Putting aside my excellence for a moment to get back to the point of this video, I was 16th at that park run, so Zuck would have been 17th out of over 300 runners. So how fast is Mark Zuckerberg? He's fast. For somebody with, I assume, a pretty busy day, he clearly finds time to keep himself in shape. And some people will say it's easy for him, all that money, personal trainers, etc., etc. Actually, I'd argue the opposite could be true. People have all sorts of motivations to exercise, but him being him could actually negate many of those reasons. Whether it's appealing to the opposite sex or self-confidence or knowing that your health is in good shape, he could easily decide he doesn't need exercise for stuff like that. He wouldn't be alone. Leo and Elon never seem to be short of female company or lacking confidence, but it doesn't seem to be derived from having a six-pack. And Zuckerberg could get a medical every morning before breakfast if he just wanted to monitor his health. No, he just seems to like being fit and in shape and clearly goes out of his way to be that. Just like every single person at Thursday's race and this morning's park run. Everyone doing more than most do in a society obsessed with money. Good to see people investing where it really counts. So a huge thank you to Barnes Fitness who run the Duck Pond race. If you work in government assigned with trying to help fix the nation's poor health, look at what those guys are doing because it is putting you to shame. They are how you help communities to stay on top of their physical and mental well-being, organising events like they do. Instead of companies like Facebook getting to pay negligible amounts of tax, companies putting on events like that shouldn't be paying a penny and should be getting all the help and funding and support they need to attract as many people as possible. That is where you start fixing the nation's health problems at the duck pond, not at the hospital, by which time it's too late. And as always, thanks to my local park run. Go find yours, highly recommend it. And a thanks to Richard for getting me round in time. Lastly, if you are Mark Zuckerberg, remember, it's just a bit of fun. Yes, you're slower than me, so I win, but accept it like a grown-up. If my Facebook and Instagram profiles disappear overnight, you are going to look like a very sore loser.